Hey guys, All in Crypto here and welcome back ladies and gentlemen for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had an amazing week so far. The weekend is upon us, Friday has arrived. In this video guys, we're going to be diving into the crypto space. We're going to be taking a look at Cardano. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin and we're going to be bringing up a number of points in relation to Bitcoin and the overall market and potentially the direction that it could be heading over the coming week. Now, in yesterday's video, we took a look at Cardano and we said it was quite likely that you were essentially just going to chop. This recovery wasn't going to be a straight up recovery where we get this kind of V-shaped bottom and we see continuation to the downside. This recovery is essentially going to see a bit of choppiness before we do get that continuation. And we are still, and let me make that absolutely apparent from the start, expecting continuation within this bull market. That is still a bias that we hold. Ultimately, guys, this is how markets work. You went up nearly 200% and you've come down nearly 23%. I mean, if you really put it into that kind of a perspective, this is natural growth. If we just continue to go up and up and up and up, guys, that would potentially signal the end of the bull market. This really is showing us that we have plenty more to come for this bull market. We're going to be going to our kind of macro chart for Cardano, putting it in logarithmic, and we're going to be going over our Elliott wave theory again. We keep bringing this up for a reason, because this is playing if you understand this and how it's in play, and I'm going to show you how this gets invalidated. If you understand this, the rest is really just noise. And we are very much setting up, and we continue to mention this in a very similar way to what we did over here at the start of your kind of three wave, after your 1, 2, and your 3 wave. And we're going to be analysing that some more. We're going to take a look on the shorter time frames though to begin with. It is apparent that Cardano is moving in these kind of wave-like structures. And ultimately, guys, you are just on that fifth and final wave, which is going to have waves within it, which is going to see growth before a pullback, setting up structure for more continuation. Things actually look pretty good despite what's currently taking place. Now, there is the possibility of more downside for Cardano, which we're going to talk about. And in actual fact, I think you're playing this out slightly. I think you're going to sort of see potentially, and we'll know if we're wrong because we'll be getting above these EMAs and staying above them, a bit of a falling wedge take place. Much the same as we saw it over here after this sell-off, and there was areas of weakness, like you didn't stay. I mean, this initial, you come back, you get rejected, you come down, and then you fail to, in much the same way that your 20 EMA holds you as support on the way up, it holds you as resistance on the way down. You've had the first potential confirmation of that. And I'm going to show you that just now, ladies and gents. So you can see here, this is what, and it's really more important. We'll dive into Cardano actually after we spoke about Bitcoin. This is the daily time frame for Bitcoin. There was some warning signals that we did mention to you, but we thought, this is we're going to see continuation within this. This is a structure that's set up many times, and ultimately this is a bearish divergence on the RSI, and you had a very similar thing over here, which ultimately led to a sell-off. And that's kind of what I'm anticipating today, guys. I think you're going to set up a similar structure to what you had over here. I think you're going to. I mean, this is a bit of a bear flag, by the way, ladies and gents, just to make you aware. And these usually do break to the downside, but ultimately, I think that you're going to set up a bit of a structure like this, like we had previously, where you just kind of bounce around before we see a break to the upside, and this kind of trend that's being kind of put in place reverse. And I'll show you on the, it's more accurately on the 4 hour for Bitcoin. So the reason that we don't think it's going to be a V-shaped recovery is really because, if you look at this sell-off, there was no strength. I mean, can you see here, you sold off, you had strength on the back end of it, you sold off, you had strength on the back end of it. You can see here on a macro level, which really indicated what was going to come up, and you sell off, and then you see strength on the back of it. You've not had that to date yet, and that makes me think that we're in for a little bit more sideways action, a little bit more consolidation, if you will, a little bit more kind of structure setting up before we do indeed see that break to the upside and this bull run continues. And that is what we're expecting. We are still very, very bullish on not only Cardano but the space as a whole, and ultimately think that this is going to be relatively short-lived. I think, certainly within a couple of weeks, things are going to be back rocking and rolling again within a week or so. In actual fact, I just think for now, you're going to kind of set up structure and hopefully break to the upside. So there is the possibility of more downside. I'm making you absolutely aware of that. For me, this is just a buying opportunity. We bought the dip over here. We got into a number of projects. One of them I'm going to be speaking about later today, which is ADAX, a DEX built on top of Cardano. We purchased it here. And if we get a lower kind of movement for the crypto space as a whole, we'll be taking advantage of that as well. I do have a little bit of cash sat on the sidelines in anticipation of that. So that's really where we're at now. Key targets for Cardano. I have a number of people asking me about this. You really want to target your previous highs and your previous lows. And you can see you've already somewhat sold through this. Let's just get rid of that. You've already somewhat sold through this, but also found it as a bit of a support level. It's very common that you kind of pierce below previous levels before we then see continuation. You are consolidating now below your prior all-time high. So there's been a significant drop, which is what's kind of making me, here's how this market is obviously ran and works on the back of human beings putting money in. Human beings are emotional creatures. It's kind of like this. When you put your foot in a bath that is way too hot, you will then, the next time you put your foot in, be a little bit more cautious until you have the confidence that the water's warm, you know, you're not going to burn yourself again. And that's really what this market is doing right now. You know, you've had this kind of slap in the face, and then you're coming up, you're ejecting, the buy pressure just isn't there, and now you're just going to consolidate before we get continuation to the upside. So things actually look pretty healthy. Any kind of dips in a bull market are there to be bought up. 2017 illustrated that to us. Illustrated that to us beautifully. Any of these dips in hindsight in 2017 would have been fantastic buying opportunities, and it had many. And the crypto space today has already had a number of significant dips and is going to continue to do so. So we're not worried on a kind of macro level. And let's talk about that now, guys. So we've already kind of attested and we've drawn our Elliott wave theory. We actually made a video in a lot of detail in regards to Elliott wave theory and confirming why we're in it, and we gave a price prediction off the back of it. So this is what's going on right now, guys. And this is the structure that you are in. We'll tell you how you get broken out of this structure. And you're now on your fifth and final wave, which I believe is going to take you towards $7.50 to that $10 range. In fact, I actually think that's quite a conservative price prediction, potentially into January next year or by the end of the year. I do believe that the cycles are lengthening. I follow something called the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory. And within these Elliott wave theory, guys, you've got, and I'm just going to skim through this because we've made a lot longer video. You have Elliott wave theory take place. And then you have an A, B, C correction before you then set up for more continuation to the upside, guys. Let's get a bit of space on the charts. Can you see this? Today, guys, you've just finished your ABC correction from this kind of 5 wave here, from your 3 wave, and you're now in your first wave, coming back for your second wave before we enter that 3rd wave, which I believe is going to be quite impulsive. And that's essentially where you are, guys. And one thing that really confirms this to me is this structure very much looks to be repeating over here. So within your 3rd wave, and really within your 2nd wave, every time you have an impulsive move, so you can see here you sell off, you make your 1st wave, you get a retracement. 3rd wave, retracement, 5th wave, A, B, C correction. This is where you are. The 2 wave going into the 3 wave is a lot more accurate because you actually take out your prior highs, you come up, and then you come back within them. You set up before continuation. And that's exactly what we think is to come today, guys. Time will tell. We could be wrong, but we're taking the bet personally that this is what's setting up for us. And you can see, I mean, it's very, very similar. Yesterday we overlaid the schematic that really highlighted just how similar these actually are. I'll do it very quickly for you again, for those of you who missed yesterday's video. Can you see this? Very, very similar. And this was really a trait. You know, you have these kind of violent, volatile sell-offs, which really all that does is show that volatility is back in charge, and you'll see continuation on the upside of that. Remember, we're still very low vol. So I do anticipate this coming back, and I am still anticipating a kind of blow off top to this bull run. So hang in there, guys. This was somebody had mentioned me in this tweet. Fida Garcia, I believe I'm saying that right. Forgive me if I butchered your name. How people think it's like to hodl. It's a straightforward road. It's not. What it's actually like to hodl, and this is actually a very accurate representation. And ultimately, this is why you should have a bigger picture in mind, because all this short-term kind of chop, all this short-term kind of volatility to the up and downside is really just noise in the grand scheme of things. And that's really the key to mitigating the cryptocurrency space, is by hodling, understanding what you're investing in and how it's going to change the world, and you will do just fine off the back of that. That is really all I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen. Number of things, number of reasons that lead me to believe we may sell off a little bit more. But ultimately, I think you're going to set up a structure like this. We could have a W double bottom here. And then you just do something like this before we see a break to the upside. Remember, Alonzo hard fork is around the corner. In fact, it's 2 days away. We're going to see an explosion off the back end of this. And as we saw Ethereum do very well with the usage of their DeFi system go up, we're going to see a similar thing take place for Cardano. So all I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen, just expect a little bit of chop, a little bit of kind of shakiness before we get continuation. I think you're a couple of weeks. I think we are going to sort of consolidate and move around for a week before we see a continuation in this bull market. All I have for you in this video, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen.